Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Robery, and guys, welcome to the show this week. I'm thrilled and excited to get together with you guys. We are now just a day away, or 2 days away, I should say, from opening weekend of the second split of duck season here in Louisiana, and we are all excited. I'm sure you guys are pumped and ready to go. Looking at the date today, we are sitting at, we're sitting at the 16th today of December. And man, I got to tell you, it don't feel like Christmas and it don't feel like duck season at the moment. But we have some pretty high temperatures. It's way warmer than it normally is for this time of year. But you know what? It's still duck season and it's still hunting season. If you're not into waterfowl hunting, you're probably out there deer hunting or chasing whatever it is you're after. So times are good and God is good as always. So like we always say, man. So, but I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. I know most of us have 1 day of work left this week to go in tomorrow before we hunt this weekend and we head to the woods or to the camp. And we're looking forward to it just like you guys are. So thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode, whether you're tuning it live here on our YouTube channel or our Facebook Live. We appreciate it. And please like and share it with your friends. We appreciate it if you're tuning in. We appreciate you sharing all of it with your friends and passing on the word, guys. But I'm excited about this week's show. Like I mentioned, we have a special guest on the show this week with us. And it's a friend of mine that I struck up a conversation with on social media. That's the blessing with social media nowadays, guys. And he is a gentleman right here in Louisiana, in our backyard, that is a avid outdoorsman, enjoys the great outdoors here in Louisiana, just like you and I do. And I'm really excited to welcome him onto the show and pick his brain about his company and his platform that he's promoting out there. He's an up-and-coming content maker, and he has some really good content that I think you guys are going to be interested in seeing what he has to offer if you're not already familiar with him. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to bring Mr. Connor Fontenot in on the show with us right now. We're going to bring him in live. And if you guys have any questions for us, man, just leave us a response right here in the chat room on the live. We'd appreciate it. But let's get Connor in with us right now and bring him on in. All right, there he is, Mr. Connor Fontenot with Rising Sun Films. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good, dude. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. It's like I mentioned, I know you and I haven't had a formal relationship or anything like that previously to us, me reaching out to you on social media. And, man, I'm glad to have you on, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with me as well as our listeners, man.
Well, yeah, man, that's no problem. No problem.
Yep, I know. I told everybody in the opening, I said, it's opening weekend, second split this weekend. A lot's going on, whether you waterfowl hunt or you deer hunt right now. Man, it's a great time of year, but it don't exactly feel like hunting season right now, Connor. It's a little warm in Louisiana.
I know, man. I know. And it's like, I don't know, bro. I can't get over it because, like, I'm a younger gentleman, I'm 23 years old, so I hear a lot about, like, in the good days, Yep. These are the good days for me. So this is what I'm used to, I'm not used to the massive cold fronts that you hear about from your great grandpa and stuff like that, So it's always a little weird when I hear stuff like that, because that's just, I don't know it, I don't know it, so I can't miss it.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we talk about that on the show all the time. That's something we talked about last episode. The good old days are now. Like my buddy, I have a good buddy of mine who's a guide, Roland Cortez, and Roland's been on the show with us. He always says, he says, you know what, Jacob, the good old days are now. He says, because, that may be what the generation that's hunting now being introduced to, that's what they know. And that's exactly what you said just now,
Yep.
So those are good. Hey, to be honest with you, I'm 42 years old, and it's getting hard for me to remember them old days where it was cold and we could hunt when it was nice and cold during December here in Louisiana. So, but man, look, like I mentioned, thank you so much for coming on with us. And for everybody who doesn't know Connor, if you're not familiar with him, you guys are going to get acquainted with him a little bit more. And his company, Rising Sun Films, LLC. We're going to introduce you to him, get to know him on this episode. But Connor, tell everybody, if you don't mind listening, where do you reside at? Where are you from, and where did you grow up at, man?
So I live in Lake Charles. That's where I grew up. That's where I'm born and raised, and that's my whole life I've lived here. It's kind of a nice in between, in the middle of everything. You know, you head straight up north, you're in Toledo and Rayburn for fishing. You know, you head southwest, southeast, you're in Sabine, you're in Lacassine for hunting. So you're kind of, it's like a really good midway point just for like everything. You know, you're not fully immersed in certain areas, so it's very easy to break off and do different kinds of things. You know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it really, you know, we talk about Louisiana being sportsman's paradise, Connor, and really the eastern, or you know, the western part, I'm sorry, of the state, man, it's a great area to be in because there's so much activity that you could get involved in, whether you love to fish. You can saltwater fish, freshwater fish, Toledo Bend, like you mentioned, you can waterfowl hunt, deer hunt, do it all, man, just to be honest with you. You can do it all. You know, it's a great area. But you know what? Some I'm gonna ask you a little bit later about, and we'll kind of get into that. I'll save it for a little bit later. But your company, Rising Sun Films, I reached out to you, man, because you know I saw, to be honest with you, I saw a lot of myself in your content, your video content that you're putting out there. And you mentioned that you're a younger man, you know, different generation, obviously, than I grew up in. But you know, your passion for the outdoors is what I share. It's the same. I have that same feeling to pursue public land, whether it's public land hunting, private land hunting, fishing, waterfowl hunting, whatever it may be, you know. Right. And a lot of what struck me about you was kind of how sincere you were in the videos that you have out there right now on social media and your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you know, what I mean by that is that, you know, your group of guys that y'all hunt together with, fish together with, y'all cut up and you have a good time, you know, and you have fun with it. But then there's also on the other side of that, you have a serious side. And that's what really struck me, man. Something that you do in your videos that I saw that I really liked a lot was how you sit in front of the camera one-on-one. And you talk and you share your emotions, you know, how you feel, whether it's a good experience or a bad experience. And you kind of let people get inside, you know, to what you're thinking and kind of what your raw emotions are. And that means a lot as an outdoorsman to be able to share that content and that emotion with other people, because a lot of times we hold that back as outdoorsmen. You don't want to share that, you know?
Yes.
So that's really what got me attracted to you, man, as far as your content. And I've become a huge fan, and that's why I wanted to get together and have you on the show.
Nice, man. I appreciate it. So that's interesting that you said that, because honestly, I struggled when I started first making videos. First of all, you know, because you make videos too, you got to get over that hump of like getting used to talking to a camera. It's really weird at first. Like you feel like this isn't right, but it is right, you know? So like, it's really tough. Like I say, when you're starting out, I'm not up there with the subscriber count at all, but you got to talk like you have an audience. Like you got to believe that there's people watching your stuff, even if there's not, because it really does make a difference. Like it's tough to like talk to the camera, but I do realize that even just starting out, when it was like just friends and family watching, it was cool for them, because even when I would see them, like I went into a tackle shop one day, and I worked with my dad for 3.5 years. I was a plumber's helper. Okay. And I met this guy in the refinery, because we do a lot of the plumbing contracts in there. And I kind of got on a spell where I kind of got off the videos. I was getting kind of like discouraged, you know. And it was like 3 months. I hadn't seen this dude in probably like 6 months. And it was like 3 months since I put a video out. Dude, he come up and talked to me like he was like my biggest fan, dude. He was like, why aren't you putting out any videos? And I was like, that's why, right there. That's why I do it. Because it doesn't matter how many people you have watching you, as long as the ones that are watching really care about what you have to say. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good point. All it takes is one person to connect with that makes a difference. You know, as content makers, I always look at it in a lot of the same ways you talking about, Connor. And you know, it's not all, you know, in today's world, it's all about subscribers and how many, you know, and really in the grand scheme of things, I'm in your situation. I just started really focusing on the YouTube side of it within the last year or so. Yeah. So I'm not, you know, we don't have a ton of subscribers either, but we constantly trending upward and adding subscribers to the channel. And it's not even about how many subscribers for me, because like just this week alone, I got several comments from people, other outdoorsmen, that were like, hey man, you know, I could relate to you and your son hunting. It reminds me of when my son was hunting with me. I miss those days. Keep it up. You know, don't, you know, cherish it. Don't let it slip by and take it for granted. And just little things like that make all the difference in the world for what I'm doing, you know, and how I'm approaching the content that I'm putting out there. So I could totally relate to what you're saying, and you're 100% right in my you know, opinion on it. And you know, a lot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The other thing that you said that stood out was how you said I like to cut up, and then some other parts is serious. That's like the biggest thing to me with making these videos, is that you see a lot of them, and I'm not hating on anybody whatsoever, because that's not the deal. But
of course,
a lot of people like to come off like they never make a mistake, like they're perfect, and it's like, why? That takes the fun out of the hunting, dude. Half the fun is you don't know what's going to happen. That's why we hunt. That's why we fish, because you don't know. It's the same age-old saying. That's why they call it hunting, not killing. That's why they call it fishing, not catching.
That's exactly right.
I like just having that personal level of being like, you know, things don't always go. I don't know it all, obviously, and I don't think I know it all. I'm not going to tell you guys that I think I know it all.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're so right, and I'm going to touch more a little bit on that. I want to pick your brain on a little bit more about that as we get more into this hour of talking about all this. But man, going back to your company, right? Or it's a LLC. Obviously it's something that you're looking to do, pursue to make into a career, possibly. I'm not exactly sure. But Rising Sun Films, tell us about it, man. How did that come about? How'd you get the name, and how'd you get into it?
So. It actually started out as Cupped and Culling is what it was called, and it didn't see. I even had trouble saying it right now, so I didn't really care for that name. So
it's a tongue twister. It's a tongue twister. I like it, but it's a tongue twister.
I know it doesn't roll off. It doesn't roll off the tongue, bro. So I was like, all right, I gotta switch it up. It's a good time. It's in the beginning, but actually, Rising Sun Films. How did it go? So I was listening to the House of the Rising Sun. I heard it on the radio.
Great song. I was
like, man, that's an awesome song. And then like 2 days later, I had like a really bad sunburn on my body, and I was going to sleep. And I was like, it hit me when I woke up in the morning. I was putting the aloe vera on. I'm like, this Rising Sun Films. That's it. But it's supposed to be symbolizing that you always got to be looking forward, because there's more opportunities as long as you make it to the next day. There's another Rising Sun coming. There's another opportunity to do better and be better. So that was kind of my thinking with the name, and I just stuck with it. And plus, my emblem come out pretty cool, so I like that one.
That's awesome, man. That's a better story than I was even expecting, I have to admit.
Appreciate it. But that yeah, awesome. So I come up with the name, and then actually I was doing a little bit of videos and stuff under Captain Colin, and then the boat shop. I work at a boat shop right now. I'm a content creator for Power Implements Marine over in Iowa.
Okay.
And
well, I'm in the boating industry as well. I'm a salesman. I've been in the marine industry for quite some time.
Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm at Boat City, USA in Hammond, Louisiana.
Nice, man. Nice. Yep. I got some partners that live down in Hammond. Heck yeah, dude.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I worked for Cabela's for almost 13 years, man. Quite a while. I was in that industry with Cabela's and Gonzalez and all that stuff. So that's funny. We share kind of the same passion for our careers, apparently.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's really cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, so I like so the boat shop approached me because they saw I've been doing some videos and stuff, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to shoot a commercial for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll shoot one." And I had a GoPro, a Hero 5 Black, and I shot them a commercial on my GoPro Hero 5, and they loved it. And so we did another one, and then I got a big camera, and then I started doing stuff with the big camera, and it's evolved into Monday night. I actually just went and took some pictures of some attack dogs. So the lady has protection dog service, and I went and took some pictures of her, and I've done a couple like wedding receptions and stuff like.
Oh wow!
But I mainly try to stay like in the outdoors action kind of genre. But yeah, it's just kind of evolved into a Rising Sun Films is a YouTube channel. I do all my YouTube stuff, but I also do my photography through it, and I do my production videos for actual customers.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's a lot of room to be able to grow in that segment. It sounds like from what you're doing, because that's a big thing nowadays, man. There is lots of people, whether it's the opportunity to go in outdoors and film for people, or like you did, with your dealership, looking for somebody with an eye for that type of talent to be able to go out and do it, man. So as a young man, you have an opportunity to go in whichever direction you really choose to do with it if you continue to pursue it.
Yes, sir. That's the goal and I was glad that the boat shop wanted to bring me on full time, because it really allowed me to get my foot in the door with some type of outdoor industry with all my time. Like it really did a good number for me, and especially because I'm getting to put a lot of time towards my craft versus going and doing job X and then having to come home and work on my craft after, which everybody knows that's when the best stuff is built. But it does help that I get to do it during the day also now.
Correct. Yeah, I could totally see that. That's awesome, man. Well, that's a great story. I think you're heading in the right direction, man. So I hope you continue to do it, because obviously you got a talent for it. From what I've seen, you mentioned that GoPro 5 a while ago. One of the first videos where I found you on social media on YouTube, it was I have some notes here. It's the GoPro ruined my opening day video.
Nice.
So
that's the first
fill us in on that a little bit about it. That's how I found you, and it got me tuned into it, because a lot of us outdoors, we using GoPros. Obviously, we're filming with action cameras, we're doing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, at the time, I think when I came across it, I was looking at buying a new GoPro, and I was like, okay, well, maybe he got an honest review on what model he's using. Let me see what he has to say. And this guy's in Louisiana. He's a waterfowl hunter, so I want to listen to him, So talk about that video a little bit, if you could recall a little bit about that.
So I know we're going to I'm sure we're going to end up touching on the storm and stuff, but just so I don't get into that, we were living in a camper, in the driveway for 9 months. And and so like everything is a little bit more special after a hurricane. And if you've been through them, so like those opening days mean so much more, because that's just it's a 6-hour break, 7-8 hour break where you don't have to think about anything except hunting. Yep. And I think that's why a lot of us get into the outdoors. It is because it's just that little escape from everything that's going on in your life. So anyway, so I was like really pumped up, man. I was like, let's go, because we just got on a lease. I've hunted public land my whole life, so I was like, I got to lease, because Sabine was shut down for that year because of hurricane debris. Mm-hmm. Bro, I got out there, the camera wouldn't turn on, man. I fought it. I was missing birds at daylight because I was goofing off with the camera. And you know what? I ended up just shutting the camera off and enjoying the hunt with my dad and my brother, because that was worth more to me than goofing off with the camera. And I knew it wasn't gonna happen anyway. But yeah, that's how it happened. So
well, that's pretty cool. And I know you did a follow up, and I think if I remember correctly, you did that kind of one-on-one like I was talking about earlier, where it's almost like you went back and you kind of apologized for getting angry and upset with it, And really, man, I mean, it was just raw emotion, and I get it. I mean, we all get it as outdoorsmen when it's like that, because like you said, you go through all this life experiences throughout the work week, the stresses of life, all that type of stuff. And then you finally make it to open a weekend, you pumped up, you excited, and the equipment's not working, whether it's a shotgun, it's a camera, whatever it may be. And, man, it can be frustrating. And you handled it really well, I thought. But that's the first video that I came across that you had did that got me intrigued, man, to look further into what content you had out there. So it was pretty cool. But another one I want to ask you about is the most insane. You titled it "The Most Insane Thing I've Ever Done Duck Hunting."
Yeah, man.
And you know what I'm talking about on that one.
Exactly. It's the most insane thing I've ever done, bro.
Dude, I have to tell you, I've in my years of waterfowl hunting since I'm small with my father, growing up wood duck hunting in Evangeline Parish in that area, I've never seen anything in a hunt like I saw in that particular video. So take us through that video now, since we're talking about it, because guys, if you have not seen Connor's channel, you want to go check out his channel at Rising Sun Films on YouTube and go check out the video titled "The Most Insane Thing I've Ever Done Duck Hunting." That title video. I promise you it's awesome. It's you're going to enjoy it. And Connor, if you don't mind, kind of walk us through that, what happened that day.
So I got to start out, it's not clickbait, and I try not to clickbait any of my videos because I know how aggravating that is. And for some of you people that don't know what clickbait is, it's when the title says something and it's just completely, it has nothing to do with what the video is about.
Okay.
This is truthfully one of the most insane things I've ever done in the blind. So it was me, my buddy Jeff, and Josh. We're going to Josh's place, and it's down there in Johnson Bayou, and we load up. We get all the way out there, pulling the boat. I mean, not pulling the boat. We got to the boats, and we didn't have a. This is off camera stuff. Y'all didn't see any of this, but we didn't have the key to the boat. We forgot the key.
That's what I want. Those behind the scenes stories.
Yeah. So we got there and we forgot the key. We're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do, man? So we're just kind of like, Jeff's like thinking about how to like rig the motor, because we're all boat shop guys, and Jeff's an A1 mechanic, so he's like, I can rig it, but I don't know how far gone it's gonna be when I'm done. Da da da. And so luckily, another guy that was hunting pulled up, and Josh was like, hey man, you mind bringing us to the blind or whatever? Drop us off, pick us up. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So I had my dog with me. They had another dog. So we had 7 people in one boat with 2 dogs and all our gear. And they went and they dropped us off at the blind. We're hunting, dude. And it's slow. I think we only have a couple birds in the blind. And this nasty front starts rolling through. It's like a rolling black cloud. You can see it. And Josh is like, dude, it's about to turn on. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm taking pictures of the dog and doing that kind of deal. And I think I was standing on top of the blind, maybe. I don't know. I have to go back and watch the video. I was standing on top of the blind, and they were like, what's that? And I was like, that's teal. We were calling them Wesley snipes. We were seeing a bunch of snipes flying around. We were calling them Wesleys. And so we were like, is that a bunch of Wesleys? And I was like, no, that's teal. And so we got down, and Josh hit the call. And bro, when they come in, it was just, they looked like Wesleys. It was a bunch of them. Like, you see them all like that's.
I know, man. I mean, looking at the video, it looked like it's anywhere from 50 to 75, maybe 100 teal that dropped in on y'all. Was it that many that actually came in, you think, or what?
Yeah, yes. I tried to count them on the computer, and like once I get like around 80, they're like over on top of each other and stuff, and I can't count them anymore. But it's 80 plus.
That's insane, man. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, dude. And they come in, and like when we shot, I'm thinking we only killed like 3 or 4 because we're shooting, and I only see a couple drop. Well, then we quit shooting, and they won't quit falling. They're just like, I'm like, oh my God.
Literally, they would not quit. So, guys, if you're watching the video, he says that in the video. He kind of says they pull up on these birds, and it looked like y'all had, I mean, there were so many birds coming into the hole that it looked like a big group kind of dropped down. Then they had to have another group on top of them kind of come in. Yeah. And from what I saw in the video, and they pull up and start shooting, and you hear kind of say, man, how many we got, 3 or 4? And somebody, I think, whispers like, no, we got more than that. Yeah. Watching it on the GoPro, on the footage, you just see them just falling. And you see the initial ones fall, and then you just see more falling out of the sky and hitting the water. And what did y'all do when you noticed that and that happened to you?
I looked over at Zero and I was like, "Get ready, son. It's about to happen, dog."
Oh man, that's gotta be amazing, dude. I mean, and how many did y'all get out of the group? What did y'all end up getting out of that group of teal?
12.
12 teal out of that group, man.
We averaged 4 birds a person.
4 birds. So you almost had your limits. Y'all had 3 of y'all is what it was? Or
yeah, but like I told you, we only had a couple birds before that. So we still ended up, my camera died, dude, like 2 minutes after we did that. The camera died. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I hope that was on video. If it wasn't, I'm selling all my stuff and I'm quitting.
Well, you got it. You got it. That was gold.
I think we ended up shooting we shot a couple more after that, and we were able to scratch our limit out. But like I told you, we weren't killing anything until that big group come in. And all of a sudden, we're sitting on 14, 15 birds. I'm like, oh, my gosh, dude, what is going on?
Yeah, hey, thank God for teal, huh? Those teal will save your ass so many times whenever you get them big groups. You know, my youngest son, or my oldest son, Jackson, he hunts with me a lot. He's in our videos. And those slow days, he's sitting there, and he's like, man. He'll say, I've taught him over the years because it's happened. Not a group like y'all had, but you'll get that group of, 10 teal come in, 12 teal, whatever it is. And I'll hear him say over there, kind of on his basis, man, if we could just get one group of teal, Dad. And those teal will save your butt so many times. But I've never seen anything quite insane like that group that came in on y'all. That was gold for catching it on film and getting it on camera, man.
I know, bro. It's one of them groups where you're like, you see them flying out there and you're like, man, I wish they'd come over here.
Yeah.
It came over there, bro.
That's the ones that came over there. That's exactly right. Now, when was that? Was that this year or last year? When? How long ago was that? Did that happen?
That was this year. That was before. That was first split.
First split. Wow.
That was like 2 weeks before first split was over.
And I see a comment here, X Hunter Outdoors. He put, they bring friends. And boy, did they bring some friends on that video. That was insane, man.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, we talk about the western part of the state, and I want to kind of delve into, something, that happened last year. Obviously, Lake Charles, the western portion of Louisiana, was hit hard by Hurricane Laura last year. Multiple storms, actually. But Hurricane Laura is the one that everybody tends to talk about. And, in 2020, that was a big thing, as far as, people recovering on the western part of the state. I have family that's in the Lake Charles area. I grew up in Evangeline Parish, not too far from there. So I have friends that live there. But how's it bouncing back, man? I mean, what do you see? Let's start out. What did you experience from an outdoorsman standpoint, from a personal standpoint in 2020? Kind of let our listeners in on the experiences and the events that happened that stem from Hurricane Laura.
So from an outdoors perspective, we actually kind of looked up, and that feels weird saying it, but me and my brother and my dad went in on a lease down in Holly Beach, which is all the way south on the coast. And that was before the hurricane hit. Well, my primary marsh that I hunt is Sabine.
Okay.
So, which is just north of Holly Beach. Well, the hurricane hits, and then they shut down Sabine for the whole year. So we ended up on a lease before the hurricane hit. So luckily we had a place to hunt. Now, when I tell you we killed 12 birds out that blind all year, it was rough, but we had a place to go.
Yeah, so you had a place to go.
I was thankful for that. It was where our blind was at and how the property was managed. It wasn't because of lack of birds.
Okay.
I've talked to a lot of older gentlemen, and they say some of the best hunting they had was after Rita.
Okay.
The best hunting they've ever had was after Rita. So, I saw a lot of damage because where you have to drive to get to the at least, dude. It was like they had like a washout on the road. There was like 3 camps standing on the whole coastline out there because it was just decimated, dude. Like I didn't even know if I was going to be able to get to the blind during hunting season because they had the road like shut off and they were only letting residents go back there.
Okay.
But I really can't say. We had some good. I did go on public land a few times because I got invited and we did really well. So just from my experience, I didn't see a big difference in the birds. Now the environment and the lay of the land, absolutely,
Yeah,
big
definitely.
change.
Change.
But I saw, so I did. Actually, funny enough, I did a podcast for Lake Charles Tackle, which is a local tackle shop where I live, and I filmed it and got it ready for them and all that kind of stuff. And they had a guy on there that actually had some experience in the marshes on the east side. Big fish kills, dude, like a lot of fish kills. And so I can just imagine what it does to the birds that come in and that kind of thing. So, I'm not, like I told you earlier, I don't claim to know everything, but I'd imagine it wasn't good.
Yeah, definitely. But, my experience over the years kind of with the hurricanes, like we're experiencing it this year. We had a hurricane this summer here in the southern portion, southeastern portion of the state. And, man, honestly, I know along the coast it devastated a lot of homes, camps, all that type of stuff. But honestly, it has created some opportunities for us on public land this year hunting that have not been accessible for years because of invasive species, whether it's Salvania, hyacinth, that type of stuff. These storms come in, it literally lifted up portions that were inaccessible and just dispersed it and reopened these marshes,
Right.
And from our experience, me and Jackson, my son, we've had one of our better first splits in the first split that we've had in the last couple of seasons. And it's a lot of because there's some new territory, there's some new land that we have the opportunity to hunt. And these birds are having more space to get into now, So I think oftentimes these massive storms come through. Yes, it definitely takes a toll. It can hurt it. But I think in some cases, by the time duck season comes around, depending on when the storms hit, it could definitely help the hunting as well, like you mentioned also,
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of bittersweet with it,
It is. Now, from a personal standpoint, any camps lost that y'all had? Did you lose your home? What was the situation there?
Yeah, so the house that I'm sitting in right now, it took us 9 months to get it back livable. Kind of the same runaround, fighting with insurance, that kind of deal.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So like quick story about my house. I'm been married 2 years now, just recently married, and we bought a house I think maybe 6 months before we got married.
Okay.
So we had our house almost a year to the date of the hurricane.
Okay.
When we bought the house, it had hurricane damage on the roof. So we filed for insurance, all that kind of stuff. Dude, they drug their feet. We finally got the check in to get a new roof 2 days before the hurricane hit. So we didn't have time to fix the hurricane. The roof, excuse me. So we evacuated, come back, and of course I maybe had 12 shingles left on my roof.
Wow.
And it ripped the whirlybird off. And it's actually one of the videos. I go find the whirlybird. It's in my neighbor's yard. My neighbor's like, "Hey, you want your whirlybird back?" I'm like, "Oh my
holy hell!"
So yeah, so it ripped a big hole in the roof, and it ruined the whole entire house. Dude. By the time insurance come through to get it demoed and everything, it was, mold and ruined, and everything was gone. So yeah, we lived in a camper for 9 months, man, making videos, and I started my new job when I was living in a camper, and my wife's a NICU nurse, so she was busy at the hospital, and she actually had to stay during not stay during the hurricane. She came the day after the hurricane, no electricity, no water, bad situation, and so yeah, it's pretty stressful, and that's kind of around the time period that you saw the GoPro ruin my hunt. Is because all those things were building up, and then for something like that to go wrong on opening day, just kind of like blew it out of proportion,
Yeah, well, yeah, you could understand that for sure.
For sure, but man, dude, as long as that's what me and my wife talk about that a lot. As long as everybody's healthy and okay, we can pick up and move. We can move around. We can do what we need to do. As long as everybody has their health, then we're gonna make it.
Amen, brother.
Yep.
For a 23-year-old young man, you got your head screwed on right, in my opinion, and you're 100% right. God works in mysterious ways, and you hear that all the time. And man, God bless y'all. I'm glad you're back on your feet, doing what you got to do. Y'all gonna come out of it stronger because I went through it in 2016 here in Gonzales. We flooded when they had the big flood that went on. Me and my wife, we lost, portions of our home to that. And honestly, looking back at it, Connor, it's at the time, it sucks. It sucks. And it's something that you go through and you think, man, this is going to be a while. It's going to take forever. And it does. It's slow because insurance is, all the factors that play into it are just slow and they drag their feet. And it feels like everybody forgets about you and they don't care about whether or not you sleeping in your bed at night as long as they're sleeping in their bed. That's what it feels like. Yeah. But I will say this, when we went through it, I saw some of the very best in people that came out. And and it was awesome. You really learn who your true friends are. I'll say that. I learned that experience. I learned the friends that I could call on and say, hey, I need you here. We got to gut some walls out, or we got to pull carpet out, or flooring, whatever it may be. And we really value those friends after that event happened. And I think all of us as Louisianians that went through this, because it's part of our lifestyle, whether it's a hurricane, floods, obviously, whatever it may be. We
get
go
ice
back.
Storms.
That's right, all ice storms. That's crazy you say that, but yeah, ice storms, whatever it may be, man, it makes us stronger. And Louisianians are resilient, man. No matter what portion of the state we're from, north, south, west, it doesn't matter, east. I mean, we are some of the strongest people in the nation, in my opinion, because of what we go through, And now, unfortunately, we got people in Kentucky that just went through this tornado, and they going through the same thing. And without good people stepping up to help them, it can be a long road, man. So I'm just glad y'all are good and coming through it. I can tell you it's going to make you a lot stronger. And you in that stretch now where hopefully it's you getting back to some normalcy, with your life.
Yeah, sure enough.
That's awesome, man. And, going back, kind of getting back on track with the outdoor stuff and the hunting and all that type of stuff, we talked about Western Louisiana. You may not really notice it, I guess, or maybe you do. I don't know. But from a waterfowl hunting standpoint, man, us in South Louisiana and Southeast Louisiana, we don't tend to hear a lot about Western Louisiana when it comes to Lake Charles, all those areas, as far as some of the traditional waterfowl hunting. That's what I want to touch on. When you look at the waterfowl surveys that are done, just about, or when they were doing them every year, when you look at the population reports for waterfowl, some of the highest numbers of waterfowl traditionally have been in the western part of the state. But then when you see guys get on these forums, and especially now with social media and all that type of stuff, you don't see a lot of reports coming out of Lake Charles and all those areas too often. They're always talking about Venice. They're talking about Catahoula Lake. They're talking about West Monroe. They're talking about, down in Delacroix, all those marsh areas. But you don't hear as many reports. It's a real tight-knit, tight-lipped situation. So, and better growing up there. I mean, tell everybody listening how phenomenal the waterfowl hunting and we talked about it kind of a while ago about how you have access to everything to be able to do a little bit of everything. But traditionally, specifically on waterfowl hunting, it has been one of the best portions of the state throughout history. Is it still that, in your opinion, growing up in that area?
Well, that's all I've ever hunted as far as Louisiana goes. So from what I know, yes, but then again, I talk to the old timers and they say it's not what it used to be. So It's kind of like, you don't miss what you don't know.
That's right.
It's good for me, but but sometimes it's bad too. Like it's like anywhere you hunt, it's not, I don't know. So I guess it's kind of unique because I feel like the two reserves that we have are fairly large. And I say large, there's a lot of people in it, but you can also spread them out.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, but go ahead and say what you want to say. I want to hear this.
It's just, so what you said about you don't hear a lot of reports from over here, that's another reason why I kind of made my channel and I am the way I am on there, is because growing up, and I still know a bunch of cats like this today, if the pawpaw handed it down to their dad and their dad handed down the spot to them and they go with one dedicated buddy and that's it. I don't blame them, but we were talking about this at work the other day. Teach someone how to go find their own places. They don't have to hunt your spot, but why are you going to that spot? What makes you want to hunt there? What are you looking for? Share that knowledge so that we can spread out and people can find their own places. I understand some areas are just good. I get it. But, why you got to tear down the guy that's just trying to learn? You were there one day. That was you one day ago. Some of us, they're like their parents didn't teach them hunting. So now your parent may have learned coming up, not a lot of help. So now you're going, share the wealth, share the knowledge that you've acquired to help better hunters, because a lot of people fuss about, oh, he rode up on me and set up 100 yards at shooting light and they sky busting birds. Dude, they really just may not know. Now, some people, it's probably a family friendly show, but some people may be buttholes. But
no, you can say what you got to say. It's adult content.
Okay, I didn't know. I want to make sure. Some people may just be being assholes, but some of them really might not know. And so, what does it hurt you to take 5 seconds out of your day to say, "Hey, man, you see the no wake sign right there? If there's boats parked right there, don't haul through here." Or that's the law. Hey, look, in the pamphlet right here, it says you got to be more than 100 yards away. I'm not chastising you about it, but just be conscious. But so that's why I feel like that's why you don't see a lot of reports from over here, is because you're right. There's a lot of tight-lipped people. Dude, it is what it is. It's hunting. It's been like this. It's gonna stay like this. Like, why not help better everybody? Why tear people down? You know what I'm saying?
Man, it's absolutely refreshing to hear somebody of your generation say it like that. Because hey, it's true. And look, you kind of delved into something I was going to ask you about here in a second. I'll ask you anyway. But, I talked about it recently on the podcast, on a couple of YouTube videos, is that I feel like even my generation, like the older guys, and I'm not really old when it comes to older generation hunters, but, I'm middle-aged guy, for sure. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, coming up in that time frame. And I told people that listen to the show and on the video, I said, I feel like my generation kind of got frustrated, like you were talking about, with these young hunters. Oh, they coming in late. They sky busting. They, they showed up with their buddies and you can hear them. It's 5 minutes till shooting time and they hollering and talking and laughing and all this type of stuff. And you hit the nail on the head, Connor, when you said it may not just be abuse of what they're trying to do. It may just be that they don't have the knowledge or were never taught by somebody. And I feel partially to blame for that, my generation. And I'm just saying that because I've done it in the past, where I turned my head to that younger generation. I said, man, they just pissed me off. They pissed me off and I don't want to deal with them. They ruining the sport for me. They ruining my day, my hunt. And at the end of the day, if I would have just, did what I'm doing now, reaching out to somebody like yourself who's of the younger generation and saying, hey, man, let's get together. Let's go make a hunt. Let me show you how to do this. Let me share this information with you. Then we would probably be a lot better off than we are right now when we're bitching and complaining about it.
Right.
I feel guilty about it, so I'm trying to correct that now. I'm trying to do the right thing when it comes to educating the younger generation on what I know. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying I'm right on what it is, because a lot of times it's opinions. You know that. But I want to be able to share my experiences with everybody and hopefully help the next guy maybe learn a little something, pick up something that's going to make everybody's hunting experience a little bit better out in the field.
Right. Yeah, and you don't got to give all the big stuff away, but
that's right.
Put nose them up, get them in line, get them lined up for success. Like, it doesn't have to be your enemy. Y'all can help each other. If a group rides up on you, why not send them to a better area and say, hey, let's bounce these birds around? Yep. Like, why you got to cuss them and shine them with your light and get out of here? Like, dude, there's only so much area in this little area. We know there's birds here. Let's work together instead of shunning people away.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we all have a better experience. I was going to ask you, in one of your recent videos, I have it notated here, you had mentioned an abnormal amount of haters is what you quoted it as. And I'm putting you on the spot because I'm interested in your take on that. You said we have an abnormal amount of haters to go along with supporters, of course, but
right.
The haters are the loud ones, man. That's the ones you always hear. You kind of touched on it earlier when we first got on. That's the ones you hear that are yapping. They telling you suck. You don't know what you're talking about. When I started, I had a guy that tried to get into it with me on social media, and he was like, man, he said every fucking dickhead got to start a YouTube channel, got to have a Facebook page or Instagram page that thinks he's a fucking expert, And I just responded back to him. I said, hey, man, look, I'm not an expert. Don't claim to be an expert, but I would love to bounce some ideas by you and kind of our hunting experiences. Maybe we might find out we have more in common than you think, and we could get together and become friends and hunt. And that guy that made that comment is one of the guys that I hunt with nowadays, and that's how we got to know each other through social media, So don't judge a book by its cover when it comes to that, guys. If you're listening, because you jump on somebody's Facebook page or YouTube channel or whatever it may be. First of all, the first thing I'd have to say to that comment is something attracted them to you to that page.
Yeah.
So if they're listening to the content, whether they want to be a smart ass or disagree with you on it, you know what? They're watching it.
That's right.
They're listening to it. They're consuming it, and chances are, whether it's good or bad, they're going to share it with their buddies, whether they're laughing at you or they're agreeing with you. And that's what's going to happen,
And it's even like, I'm sure everybody's seen the Island Boys. Everybody's talking smack about the Island Boys, but hey, bro, everybody knows the song. It doesn't matter how it's consumed, whether it's in good intentions or bad intentions, you're watching it. You're commenting on it. You're liking it. So that's my goal, is to get my stuff out there. So thank you for confirming that my stuff is getting out there, whether you like it or not. I don't care.
That's it. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you feel that the negative attitude towards content creators online, like such as ourselves, do you feel that translates into the way they handle themselves in the field whenever everybody's in the field?
Who's they? The haters?
Yeah. Yep, the haters.
I think it's a little different.
Is that those guys that we're talking about that you running into and you getting into it maybe with them, or they shining lights at you, that type of stuff? Do you think that kind of translates and carries over into an actual hunting situation?
I think maybe we're talking about two different types of people. I think we're talking about the old schools. They don't want nothing to do with pictures, photo. They think social media ruined hunting. And then I think we got the keyboard warriors that want to get on there and talk all the shit. But when you see them in person, they're like, hey, man, I like that video. Yeah. Like, that was cool what you did the other day. Or, hey, I saw your video. Are they sending you Snapchats being like, oh, dude, where'd you kill them? Yeah, but
they're fishing. They're fishing for information because they want to hate on you, and because their buddies are all talking about it probably. But at the same time, they see you killing birds, or they see you do something that they like, and they're fishing for information a lot of times.
And it's not even like that. That's like, I think also it almost thins the herd for content creators, because you got to have that tough skin and not let it bother you, because like you said, the haters are going to be louder than the people that support you. So you just got to have that tough skin and just, I don't know, man. It's weird because, like I said, I really didn't get a lot of it until a couple weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they popping up. But it really doesn't bother me.
No, and that's awesome. That's the way you got to be. And just to give you some advice, in my opinion, if they're starting to pop up and you're starting to hear more, that means you're making waves, Connor. That's what it is, man. You are starting to gain momentum, or you got guys that you catching their attention, like we talked about, and people are starting to see the content and they're tuning in. And it comes with the territory. We all go through it and we all feel that way. But as an older generation, I find we don't get it quite as much as the guys in your age group, the younger generation guys. You guys, or your generation, tends to be a little bit more brutal towards each other, and I don't know why that is exactly, but that seems to be the case. In my opinion, that's just an opinion.
I think it's a lot of they have what I want, and I'm not saying I'm the guy, but I'm saying that's what I think. You know, when you see these people killing limits or catching 5+ fish, 5 pounders, or weighing in a five fish sack, you know, breaking 20, you want that, but you're a little jealous. You know, I'm not saying I'm the guy who's doing it. I'm just saying.
No, I get it. I get it.
You kind of, but back in the day, they didn't have that. Like maybe you got posted in the paper, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying it's a little different nowadays. But it's more of like a look what I got. You know, you can't have it, and I think it gets to a lot of people. So I think they just kind of that's like their scapegoat is just the kind of I'm just gonna shit on them.
Yeah, they want that instant gratification, and if they can't get it, they look at other people to go afterwards, you know. And unfortunately, that's the downside of what we do as media creators and you know just outdoorsmen in general. But I think that as we I'm hoping as we getting older, and some of us like your generation that are doing what you're doing, my generation that are media content creators, that we're starting to educate more, helping people more, sharing information like we talked about. You don't have to give them your honey hole spot, like you mentioned. But at the same time, tell them, give them some insight to what you're doing that's working, or weather patterns that you kill them more birds. I'll tell what's funny is I tell people when I was fishing bass tournaments and stuff like that a lot. I tell people, you always hear guys say, "Well, man, that guy tells you caught him on that bait or he caught him in this spot." He's lying, 100% lying. What's funny is you can tell most people the truth of what exactly you did. They're not going to believe you anyway. They're going to think you're lying anyway, and they're never going to do it.
The old classic passing by, you catching?
That's right.
Me neither. Y'all both got live wells full.
That's it. That's exactly right. It's the same thing whether you fish and hunt, whatever it may be. So that's just the way human nature is. But I think guys like us that are and other content makers that are out there right now, if everybody just kind of gets along and kind of we all in it for the same thing. We all loving it, for the same reasons. I think we're going to be in a much better place for sure, man. So. Let's see. I got a couple of I got somebody wanting to tell you hello, man. Let's see right here. What's up, Connor from Robbie Young, man? Thanks, Robbie, for tuning in, man. We appreciate you hopping on with us. So who's Robbie? That's one of your buddies?
That's one of my people, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool deal. Thanks for getting on with us, Robbie. We appreciate you tuning in. Man, if y'all tuning in right now, hit that smash that like button, that subscribe button. We appreciate it. We got another comment coming in from who we got here? Justin Frank. What's up, Jacob? New subscriber, like the vids. Thank you, Justin. We appreciate you, man, hopping on with us tonight. So we hope y'all enjoying this episode with Mr. Connor Fontenot of Rising Sun Films, man. Phenomenal content maker here in Louisiana. Doing his thing, man, and I got to applaud him for that. So big fan of it, and you guys need to go check him out at Rising Sun Films. Connor, you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much all the major platforms, correct?
Yep. Yeah. The my Facebook and my YouTube are under Rising Sun Films, and then my Instagram is Connor.Fontenot. Awesome, but yeah, we're on all of it, man.
Well, good. Go check him out, guys. So we're getting close to an hour now, Connor. I don't want to keep you too long, but man, just to kind of touch on closing waterfowl specific, looks like you guys kind of finished up the last hunt of the season on a strong point. Fill us in on how that went down, man, and what you saw as we get ready to head into the second split.
So that was a public land hunt, and that spot is absolutely brutal. It's so bad that I can't even run my camera on my head because I would literally like knock it off in the cane and in the mud and in the it's insane. But like so it's a job to get back there, and I actually have my cousin Garrett and my brother Ethan. Ethan's hunted with me a couple of years now, so he pretty much knows how it goes. But Garrett, he's a first timer. So this is his first year. Actually, I have his first duck he ever shot on our opening day video, so that's pretty cool too.
That is cool.
Yeah, man. But
catch it on film.
Yeah, he was over there. He was Chris Kyle, bro. He had that gun up to his shoulder before it was even in, dude.
I saw that video. I actually watched that video, and he said, "Man, he Chris Kyle that thing. We got him over there." That was a hell of a shot, I have to say.
It was. But Garrett's a different character, bro. But so I told him, I was like, guys, it's gonna be a hard hunt, but I know there's birds in here, and they were like, okay, let's do it. This is my buddy Hayden. We got together, and he had brought me there last year, and Hayden hadn't really been on it, so we went and got on it, and dude, teal everywhere.
Teal.
Everywhere. Yep. That's like you said, you hit the nail on the head earlier, bro. They're the limit filler, dude.
They are. And we've been blessed this year. First split, are you guys seeing the teal, the numbers of teal? Obviously, the video we talked about earlier, dropping 12 out of a flock. And then that hunt that you're talking about wrapping up the end of the season. I know for us, the first split teal were definitely down. Green wings, blue wings, did well with teal. So you guys were seeing pretty much the same thing on the western part of the state, it looks like.
Yeah, but the one strange thing that I've noticed is they're flying for a long time.
Okay.
Normally, you shoot a live teal in the morning, and I hear the old timers say this too. We're gonna pass on teal. We shooting the mallards, we're shooting the pintails because they killed them back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? We ain't passing on nothing, bro. If it's coming in, it's dying.
It's public land, brother. It flies, it dies pretty much, unless it's a hooded Morganza.
Hey, bro, I shoot them too. I don't care,
do you eat hooded Morganza? Tell me y'all not cooking hooded Morganza.
No, you didn't, dude. In the one we shot 12, Jeff turned around and decimated a hooded. It wasn't even a hoodie; it was a common. He shot Morganza. He said, "What's that on the water?" And I turned around, boom! I was like, "Oh my gosh, Jeff!" I hit it to him. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "That's a Morganza."
Y'all should have let him cook that up and try to eat it. See what he thought.
No,
tastes like ass and rubber.
y'all can have that, bro. I don't want that.
I was about to say, if y'all eating hooded Morganzas in the western part of the state, I'm losing respect for you as we speak.
Bro, y'all keep that over there, dude.
That's the one bird, Connor, I have never been able to have anybody cook that had any kind of taste where I said, you know what, that tastes pretty good. Man, I can't, man.
They're few and far between, but I've met them. Man. Normally they in a gas station parking lot, but I've met them before.
Whoo, that's some bad. When you throw a hooded Morganza on the ground and the dog won't touch it, sniffs it, and walks away, it's bad. It's bad. I promise you. So, yeah. But teal. So teal was kind of the limit filler. Y'all ended the hunt. So that last hunt of the season, was it mostly teal that y'all ended up with?
Actually, I have one more hunt that I'm working on.
Okay.
That wasn't the last hunt. That was Saturday.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the day after. So that's funny, but we should have killed our limit Saturday. Ethan and Garrett ran out of shells because they wasn't expecting to shoot that much. Garrett's a first timer. Ethan's been doing it a few years, so he has a little bit better shot than Garrett. And when I shoot my 6, I'm done. So
yeah,
I'm just watching, and it's funny to watch these guys, man. It's funny. It's like watching a baby giraffe learn how to walk. It's like they figuring it out.
It's true. It is true. It's true. But, you get a different perspective when you sit back and you're not hunting and you're watching the guys, Yeah,
you're like, this is what's going on when I'm looking at my gun. Like, what are y'all doing? Like,
you learn a lot about your buddies that you hunt with.
Yeah, they funny, bro. But we should have had our 18. And so then the next day, me and Ethan went back, and I think we shot like 8 or 9. But dude, the fog, man, the fog was so thick, dude.
It's been like that here too,
man. And it's like, dude, like I don't think I've ever seen it that thick before those first 2 mornings. But when the fog lifted, we started killing a couple birds, and you'll if y'all watch the video, you'll see it. But
and you haven't put that one out yet? You said that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. I got it pulled up, but
well, good. We look forward to that then.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like I said, it was mostly teal again. A lot of teal.
Yeah.
I'm interested with this weather rolling through and stuff. I'm wondering what it's going to look like for Saturday.
Man, it's looking. I looked over here at our forecast, and it's showing a possible thunderstorm Saturday. Dense fog tomorrow morning is what it's showing over here. So. It seems like we get those warm years like that, and you can't get rid of the fog. So, and some guys love the fog. I hear buddies of mine tell me they're like, "Man, I'll take the fog anytime. It keeps them low." I'll work the birds in, and they just come in, they in your face, and we kill them. And me, that's bullshit for me because I don't have a lot of luck in the fog. Now, we had a couple of videos from first split that me and Jackson were in the marsh, and we had those fog days, and we right at daybreak or right at legal shooting times, I had a couple of birds come right in on us, but that's that early morning flight right at daybreak, typical type stuff. But once that fog's sitting over the decoys, we don't have a lot of success a lot of times. But once it lifted, birds started showing up, sun started breaking through. We had, a couple of mallards, mottled ducks, gadwall work in, pintail. And that's how we ended up our last hunt of the first split, which was that Sunday, but we had to wait for that fog to get out of there before we actually had some birds working in.
Yep. And I have a theory about the fog. And like I said, I'm not a biologist. I don't know. But I think that when you kill them in the fog,
I think we lost you for a second, the audio. You there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead and repeat that if you don't mind. I think you had froze up for a second.
So I think, I'm not a biologist, but and this is just my brain being weird, I guess. I think when you kill them in the fog, and I'm talking public land, I'm not talking to lease.
Okay.
I think almost that maybe if it wasn't foggy that day, you weren't really going to burn them. I think the birds know where they're going if they're not on, if they're consistently been birds in that hole and you go to hunt it.
Yeah.
Like they're not. I'm losing my train of thought. They weren't going to be there if it wasn't foggy, but
okay.
If it was foggy, but if it isn't foggy, then you would kill them in a different hole.
I got you. No, I see what you said. Yeah, it flopped around, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and man, that could be the case. I know it keeps them flying a lot lower. You notice on those foggy days, even when it kind of clears out, they typically not those migrating birds way up high that are moving. They seem to kind of want to be looking for spots to kind of rest, land, and kind of work into. Because I think, either they found a hole, the ones that were migrating, and they've already been resting, and they are settled in wherever they are, or you got birds that are migrating, traveling, flying through all this fog, this wet. You hear their wings. You could tell whenever their wings are wet how they flapping, and you hear that distinct sound. And I think when they get out of that and it clears up, those birds that were moving throughout that fog, they're looking for areas to kind of to rest and relax and just load for a while. That's just my thought. That's my thought on it.
Fog's tricky, bro.
It's tricky. It is tricky, man, and I don't typically like it. It's dangerous to navigate, but that type of stuff. But that's what we got to deal with. That's what we're working with, So, well, man, and there's more I wanted to touch on. We're going to probably have to do this again and get together. But I know you guys went to Kansas this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We sure did.
Just quickly, how was Kansas, man, compared to, you said you hunted, Western Louisiana your whole life. What's Kansas like? Because I have a good friend of mine who's in a camp with me over in the Chaffalot Basin. He went to Kansas twice this year so far, and they didn't have success. So how was the Kansas trip? Kind of keeping it quick, I guess. And compared to Louisiana, what's the comparison?
I can tell you, if you've only hunted Louisiana your whole life and you've never been to Kansas, you have never experienced anything like it. It is the most, for somebody from Southwest Louisiana, it is the most mind-boggling thing you've ever done, because you literally drive in a truck. Okay, because when we think about scouting, we're going to go in a boat. We're going to go ride the fool around in the fields. We're going to go, you drive around in the truck, and you just look, you literally follow the birds in the air. Like you look for the birds in the air. And then everything is a grid out over there. There's no curvy roads, nothing. It's a grid. So you can follow those birds. And when you find where they're landing, you pull up. I'm going to throw y'all a bone. A lot of people know about OnX, but you can pull it up on OnX, get the address, and then go knock on these people's door and be like, hey, man, I see a body on your field. I'm trying to go hunt it. Whatever your approach is to hunt that field. And 9 out of 10 times, they're going to tell you yes, and the only time they're going to tell you no is if someone else has already locked down the field.
Yep. That's exactly the same situation my buddy told me. They went last year for the first time, and they do the same thing in Oklahoma, actually. They go to Oklahoma, and they're going to be heading to Oklahoma here in January. And he ships more boudin, smoked sausage, tasso, all that stuff to Kansas and to Oklahoma than probably anybody because he's meeting a lot of people and they let him hunt property up there. It's completely different in Louisiana in that aspect. It's pretty cool. But yeah, how was the hunting? Did y'all end up doing well? I saw in the video y'all did real well with spec hunting, it looked like.
Yeah, man. So the first we drove 13 and a half hours, got there, went immediately scouting. Side note, the deer are insane over there. They're everywhere. Anyway, yeah, they're massive.
They don't have all those coon asses chasing after them. That's why.
For real, they must not sell spotlights in Kansas, I guess. I don't know. So we get there, scout all day, find a little bit of ducks. So the next morning we go set up, and through all the chaos, through everything going on, like this hunt didn't even make the video. We set up wrong on the wind. So it was a lake. They have a bunch of small lakes around there. So we set up wrong on the wind. Dude, I'm not joking you, 600 yards down the levee, these guys got off in it was part of the lake, but it was shielded from the wind by the trees. And these dudes beat down on the greenheads, dude, like nothing. Like I was that guy. I was like, I hope he has a YouTube channel because I'm gonna go hate on him. Like I was so mad. I was so mad, dude. But so we set up wrong on the wind. So there was ducks there, dude. Yeah. After that day, like if you go watch my Kansas video, you'll see that we found, dude. That was the most ducks I've ever seen in my entire life in one area. It was absolutely insane. But it was on a refuge. You couldn't hunt it over there. It was one little section you couldn't hunt, and they were on it. They were on it. They knew. And there was nowhere near there to hunt.
Yep. And Kansas, they do a excellent job of managing their resources in Kansas.
They do. It's everything dude, almost 90% of the state is dirt roads, like gravel roads, and they're smoother than our pavement. It's insane. It's insane. But so we ended up getting on the big goose feeds, and that's what we ended up hunting when we were there. We're like, well, we're not going to chase ducks that aren't here yet, so we're just going to kill geese.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, hell, you turned a trip where you might have struggled to kill ducks into something positive, man. You learned something, So I'm sure y'all going to be trying to go back maybe next year or second split? You plan on going up second split or what?
Man, I wish, dude. I wish. I right now I can usually take about one big trip a year.
Yeah.
And that's about it, and that's fair enough, So that's and we couldn't wait, so we did it. That was the weekend before our opening weekend, so we went and hunted theirs, and then we come back and it was opening weekend for us. So it was
that's
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, y'all might have been there the same time my buddy was there. They had 4 people. They went up there and they got a state park. I'm not exactly sure what area of Kansas it is, but it's some kind of state park, I think it was. And they rented a cabin and they stayed up there. And that was the second time they went. They went for Thanksgiving and they rented a cabin. And he said it was right outside of whatever reserve they were, public land that they were hunting. But they didn't do real well this year. But the previous year, last year, they hammered them, Connor. They did really, really well. Most mallards they've ever shot in their life. It was pretty cool. And we were supposed to go with them this year, me and Jackson. And the trip, they invited us last minute to go for Thanksgiving. Being a family man and a married man, I didn't really want to leave my wife and my youngest son during Thanksgiving. But that's a trip I want to take, man. I do want to take that trip,
If you get the opportunity, I would jump on it. Now, I will say, just for anybody out there that's thinking about going, 2 things. One, go with somebody that's been before. Don't 4 buddies that's never been try and go do it, because you're gonna have a bad time and you're not gonna want to go back. 2, don't get a hotel, get an Airbnb. That's the 2 things, because the hotel we got charged a lot of money, and an Airbnb we would have got charged a little bit of money. And I would have had a bed to sleep on, not sleep on the ground.
Good point. That makes a difference when you driving 13 hours there and back. That's for sure. He told me, he said that's the most grueling thing. He said is the trip. He said, it's beautiful. He said, but once you've done it once, he said you've seen it already. So you get those second, third trips. He said they get a little bit tougher as far as the drive goes. You know. Right. So well, that's awesome, man. Y'all, it sounds like y'all have had a fun first split. And now we're opening up this weekend, second split, man. I wish y'all the best. We now since we've got to know each other, man, we need to get together, make a hunt, man. Either we'll take a trip, go meet y'all, or we'll share trips. Y'all come meet us, and if whoever's on the birds, I guess we need to get together and make a trip, man.
Yeah, that's the smartest way. Yep.
That's exactly the way we need to go down. But, man, anytime y'all need something, feel free to holler at us. You got a friend here in South Louisiana, man. And Fontenot, dude, believe it or not, believe it or not, there's a million Fontenots out there. But my mom was a Fontenot. So we grew up in the Ville Platte, Evangeline Parish area. I got some relatives, like I mentioned, in Lake Charles. So, man, there's Fontenots everywhere you go. But we could be distant cousins somewhere down the line somewhere. There's no telling.
That's very possible, dude. It is very possible.
That's right, man. Well, look, I have taken up enough of your time tonight, Connor. I appreciate you being on the show with us, man. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to Connor tonight. Connor, once again, where can they find you, and what are they searching for, man, on your content that you're putting out there?
So the biggest thing for y'all would be to go to the YouTube. It's Rise of Sun Films. I do waterfowl, and I do a lot of bass fishing also in the spring and the summer. And then I also have my Instagram, which is connor.fontenot, where I post all my photography. And sometimes videos. I actually do a lot. Some people don't know this because they're just recently following, but I started out with video. I do a lot of like the terminology is B-roll, but a lot of B-roll footage videos, you know, kind of like cool looking content and stuff like that. And then I have my Facebook, which is Rise of Sun Films. And yeah, that's about what we own right now.
That's awesome, man. You can find them on pretty much all the social media platforms. So check them out. And we'll post links if you guys are tuning in, whether it's YouTube right here, you're watching us live on YouTube, on our channel, or on our Facebook page. We'll post links to his pages down in there. But check him out. Awesome content, guys. And he's a great guy, obviously. I hope you enjoyed the meeting Connor and getting to know him a little bit better tonight. So, Connor, I just wanted to tell you once again, buddy, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight here on Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, buddy.
All right. Good luck to y'all this weekend, and y'all take care. Be safe out there, man.
All right, y'all too.
Okay, you have a good one.
You too.
Well, guys, there you have it. Another great guest here on Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation that me and Connor Fontenot had. Man, I'm telling you, he has some really good content. He's an up-and-coming guy in the outdoor content section, whether you like YouTube or Instagram, social media, Facebook, whatever it may be. Connor's a great guy, has some good stuff out there for you guys, and he's only improving and getting better with it. So I look forward to seeing more of his stuff as we get down the road. But, man, yeah, he touched on, hunting in western Louisiana as far as Lake Charles area, Lake Arthur, all those areas. And he could bring a lot of knowledge. He grew up in that area, guys. So for all of you listening that are heading out this weekend and you wanted to kind of hear some reports, because you might not have got a whole lot of information from that side of the state during the first split. He was able to share a little bit of insight on what he saw, the experiences that they had out in the field, and hopefully you guys can put that information to good use, guys. So once again, if you like this video, if you're tuning in on our YouTube channel or our Facebook Live tonight, we appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and a like. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, we appreciate it if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And for all of you going to be listening to it on audio, don't forget you can stream us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are now on iHeartRadio under our podcast section on iHeartRadio and many, many other places where you get your favorite podcast, guys. Until next time, this is Jacob with Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors. Y'all have a good night and take care.